Now, local and live, it's Frederick's Forum on 930 WFMD with local newsmakers and your phone calls.
It's Frederick's Forum, local talk radio for the thinking person with Catherine Heerbrand.
Hey, welcome to Frederick's Forum. This is Catherine Heerbrand on this beautiful sunny day in Frederick. Today we're talking to Jason Judd. Welcome to the program, Jason Judd.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine.
So let's answer this question. Who is Jason Judd, and why does he want to be mayor of Frederick? How's that for a nice, broad intro?
Well, I grew up here.
Okay.
Frederick is home. I went to TJ, and when my wife and I were looking for the place we wanted to raise our kids, we thought there isn't a better place.
Right.
Frederick's a great place to raise a family. And why am I running? I think we need a mayor who has imagination, who's skilled at pulling people together, who's got real-world executive experience, somebody who knows how to turn challenges, and we face a lot of challenges, into opportunities. And now that we live here, and I've got some skin in the game, our kids are in the public schools, we live in the city, I want to be sure that in 20 years' time, this is the kind of place that my kids will want to stay and grow, raise their families in.
So you're here for the long haul?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the work that you do now. And you and I had talked about this before, and how that will translate into the role of mayor at City Hall. What do you do now? What's your work and what's your experience?
Now I lead national advocacy campaigns, changing some of the worst practices of the big banks. For example, credit card companies are really sticking it to ordinary families. And I've been in Annapolis several times in the last few weeks testifying on bills that would require credit card companies to play by the rules. Concretely, it's building and running teams. They include lawyers and media specialists and researchers and lobbyists. And that set of skills that I've developed over the last 15 years really is the set of skills that a good mayor has. A good mayor is a good organizer, knows how to pull people together, the right people, knows how to inspire them, knows how to hold them accountable, and that set of skills would be useful in the mayor's office.
You know, a lot of people who've just seen your name in the headlines think that you came out of nowhere, but can you tell me a little bit about what you've been doing behind the scenes for the past year in putting this campaign for mayor together?
Sure. We've spent hundreds of hours in conversations, listening to folks talk about how they feel about the city, what they think we're doing well, what they think we ought to be doing differently, what they hope for, what they're willing to work together for, an emphasis on helping small businesses grow, on preserving what we love about this place, on getting smart about economic and fiscal policy. Those are things I've got experience with, and those are things I'm hearing from folks again and again. This is the sort of mayor we want. This is the sort of city we want to become. So we're going to build this campaign on front porches and in living rooms, and we're going to have as many conversations as we can. I think that's how you build a campaign that articulates a vision that folks are willing to buy into because they feel like it's theirs.
How did you win over some of these politicians, though? I mean, what is it about you that you think they're responding to?
I think, like everybody else, they're looking for a mayor who's energetic, who has vision, who has a hard focus on solutions, and has the right kind of experience. There's no one way to get to this job. Right? Some say you need to pay your dues. Mm-hmm. You need to be on the board of aldermen. You need to do a stint on the planning commission, that sort of thing. I don't think that's right. I think we're heading into tough times, and we need a mayor and a board who think in innovative new ways. Having somebody like me, who's not a City Hall insider, who is willing to look at things with a fresh eye, somebody who's willing to break old patterns, slough off bad habits, is something that's appealing to a lot of people. So I think that appeals to the folks who are backing me. And the theory of the campaign is that folks who hear this message on the porch or in the living room will support us too. And we've had great support. We had 200 folks turn out to the Delaplane a week and a half ago to launch.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
March 11th, right?
And maybe a week earlier, we had 150 folks packed into Cafe Nola downtown. So we're building this from the ground up, and the response has been great so far.
Yeah. But just can you give me a few little examples of types of things or projects that you're thinking about for Frederick? Yeah.
Sure. Well, we talk a lot about creating better jobs here in the city. You said it. We've got a high tax rate. We're paying 65 cents on $100. And instead of pulling that rate down for homeowners and businesses over the last 6-7 years as we've been riding this real estate boom, we've allowed that rate to tick up, and folks are paying more. I know I'm paying more in taxes now than we were 6-7 years ago, much more. And what we should have done, I think, is take some of that boom revenue and give it back to folks instead of finding new ways to spend it at the city level. We've got a budget that's $30 million larger today than it was just 3-4 years ago. That's money that families could sure find something to do with now. And there are a couple of things we could do right off the bat. One is create a small jobs incubator so that we're creating better jobs here in the city. And two, we could streamline our land management code so it's easier for small businesses to get started. The city makes it much, much harder than it needs to. We need to help these small businesses find their feet, find their markets. Small business growth is the backbone of the city's economy. So the city and the mayor in particular need to be an advocate for small businesses. Those are two specific things we can do on the economic front. I talk a lot about preserving what we love about this place, and that means, among other things, introducing this notion of sustainability into all the choices we make. We need to take a longer view. How do decisions we make now, how will they impact us in 30 years and 50 years? And there are things we can start doing now that'll make this place a great place to be in 30 and 50 years. Here are a couple of examples. We don't have a commercial recycling program in the city. I think that puts us 20 years behind. That's something that we need to get going. We don't have recycling in our public places. Sure. And we send a powerful message when we put recycling bins in our public places, our parks, our stadiums. So those are very simple things, concrete things that we can do in day one and year one.
Mm-hmm. What about the incinerator? And you're not in support of it.
I think it's an awful lot of money. We're talking about spending $500 million together with Carroll County, and the technology that's on offer is not the latest. Alternatives are being developed daily. The industry is changing so quickly. Our environment is changing so quickly that we can afford to wait a little bit and invest in a new technology that's looking ahead 50 years rather than a technology burning trash that looks back 50 years. And here's another reason to be careful about this. The regulatory environment's changing. The Obama administration is rewriting rules on air quality. We could plunk down a lot of money for an incinerator and then be told by the EPA that the rules have changed, and it's going to cost us, I'm making this up, another couple of $100 million to build something that's
we see that with the wastewater treatment plants now with the nutrients in the Chesapeake Bay, having to retrofit to the tune of $20 to $30 million or rebuild wastewater treatment plants to meet higher EPA standards. So, that's not what that's in the realm of possibility, definitely.
And one more reason, Catherine, to be wary is that the site that's proposed for this incinerator is in the city's backyard. It's next to the Monocacy battlefield. It's folks don't want it, right? Yeah. Well, my hope is we'll find a way to run up our recycling rate instead of pumping trash into a burner.
Okay. Are there any particular things that are happening at City Hall now that you would like to redo? Well, unwind?
One that we may not be able to unwind, but that is certainly that I've been hearing a lot about is the buyout. Mm-hmm. We offered staff 2 years' pay, a bridge to their retirement, and many of them were brought back to work on Monday. As a public servant, your gut should tell you that spending that much money on a scheme like this is a bad idea. You don't have to get as far as the numbers. Public money is a public trust, and a mayor should never violate that trust. That means having an argument about where we're spending public money and is this appropriate way to use it? Is this too much in a time like this? Those are all questions we need to think through, argue through together, and always do it with an eye on what's good for ordinary families, because those are the folks who make this city, working middle-class families, and we need to make sure that government's working for them, that we're not taking their money and blowing it in inappropriate ways. And I think there's been plenty of that over the last few years. Here's the last thing, that because of the work I've done over the last 15 years, holding mayors and boards and big companies and other governments accountable, that describes the work I've done over the last 15 years. I expect to be held accountable in this job, and that's something I think we need more of in the city.
So we can expect a little more transparency then.
Amen.
From your administration. I appreciate it.
I miss the work that I did when we could identify an issue and say, here's something that needs to work better. Here's something that we need to pull together on to make sure it works better. It might have been making sure that older neighborhoods weren't getting left behind, that city services were getting delivered there. Just the basics. Policing, code enforcement. And I miss my ability to have that kind of impact in the lives of ordinary families like mine. A good mayor can make things happen without a whole lot of money, and that's what we're going to be facing over the next 4 years. So a mayor with imagination and vision and the ability to bring people together.
Thank you so much for saying that, and we're out of here. I'm Catherine Heerbrand telling you to have a great afternoon.
News Radio 930, WFMD, Frederick.